The Barber by Tuli Mashazi. He was a young boy who had completed his matric but sadly couldn't go no further due to lack of finance in the family. He had always made the right choices and everyone who knew him thought he was going to be a man of significance. But as it seemed at this point in his life, it was all a pipe dream. Even though he had been out of school for 5 years, he had not done anything meaningful with his life, and he was getting very sad and frustrated. It is hard to feel like you are living a thankless life. You make all the right choices, think the right thoughts, and life keeps giving you a backhand slap. He had watched his peers smoke themselves into oblivion while they waited for the few businesses in the community to open up opportunities for them. But unless they died or relocated, there was a very slim chance for new job opportunities. The small business community of Luveve was not growing. As he sat by the street corner alone, as he always did, no one wanted to sit with him because he did not want to participate in the regular pastime activities of the youth in his community. He noticed the church building down Kaisa Road. That building had stood there ever since he came back to Luveve to live with his mom. He had never seen anyone in or leave the building, even though it was in good condition. The windows were intact, the yard well cared for, and the gates were always locked. He wondered who the building belonged to. He did not have anyone to talk to about the building. Most people thought he was haughty, simply because he was a man of sober habits. He felt drawn to the building, so he sat at the gate thinking about his life as he always did. Except that on this particular day, he saw someone behind the building emptying a bucket of water. The lady had turned in his direction just in time for their eyes to meet. He did not say anything to her, but she gave him a signal to go round the fence. He found the regular entrance on the other street, which explained why he never saw people from his side of the street. The old lady had a gentle countenance and grief-stricken eyes. When she smiled, he felt like she laid bare her soul for him. Yet there was poise and dignity to all that she did, like an important person who understood her power. She did not talk much, but he felt welcome and comfortable, like he belonged and he was understood. It felt like they were of the same kind, although he could not define the kind he thought they were. He visited a number of times and felt more and more at home each time. Every time he stood up to leave, the gentle woman would clasp her worn-out hands together and say, "Let us pray." She would pray about his destiny, his future, his progress in life, promotion, success, honor in the community, that he would be blessed in all that he did. All wonderful things that made his manly eyes teary. As the visits continued, he had a brilliant idea to start a barber shop at the building. He would ask her on his next visit, he would say to himself. But he could never summon the courage to ask because the lady never engaged in any meaningful dialogue. It was always the smiles, the tea, the look in his eyes, and the clasp of hands that summoned him to prayer. She spoke more in prayer than she did in conversation. Surprisingly, on the last visit, when the lady had finished her beautiful prayer over him, the gentle lady reached into the pockets of her frock and pulled out a bunch of keys and handed them to him before disappearing into one of the rooms in her house. He stood there for a few minutes waiting for an explanation. When the lady did not reappear, the young man assumed that she was giving him the keys to the building in order for him to start his business. She probably read my mind, he thought as he shrugged his shoulders and left. His curiosity could not allow him to wait for the next day. He went to test the keys immediately. The building was quite big for the business idea he had, but he would start with the barber shop, and maybe someday grow bigger, he thought to himself. The atmosphere in the building was serene. It reminded him of how he always felt after the prayers made by the lady. He always felt better in ways he could not articulate. Strangely enough, when he came to open the shop the next day, there was already a queue of people outside the gate, waiting for him to open. They did not talk much. They entered the building quietly and sat in line while he set up his shop. He unpacked the bottles of shampoo and hair dye, dusted up his machine, arranged his brushes, combs, and sprays for his clients. He played some music on his little speaker that he had brought. People love music and would be glad to listen to some music while they waited, he had thought to himself. He had wondered to himself, though, how these people knew how he was going to start a business on the next day, because he had not told people about it. He hadn't even put up a sign like he had planned to. Well, the woman must be very influential, he thought to himself. She must have spread the word to the entire community overnight. He was impressed. He continued to operate his business day after day for years to come. All the other barbers had to shut down because everyone preferred his services. I feel so much better in ways I cannot explain when I go to Craig's shop, one old man had said to his wife after spending a whole day sitting in line for a haircut. One woman had followed her husband to the shop disguised as a man, curious to see why all these men who went to Craig's shop never returned. She thought that maybe her husband had gone back to his drinking ways, but there was not a single bottle of alcohol at the shop. That confused her greatly. Surprisingly, she also did not leave until it was evening and her children were getting worried. She felt so much better in ways that she could not explain that day. In fact, she cut her hair and decided she was going to patronize Craig's business. It's not that he's a good barber, she had tried to explain to the women who were questioning her decision to go back to maintaining her natural hair. There's something special about the place. You just feel better. You should go there yourself. She had invited one of her friends to experience for herself why people always filled up the building, even when they did not need a haircut. Craig's place became so famous, even in the neighboring towns of Emakhandeni and Mzilikazi. Those who were inside did not want to leave, and those who stood outside wanted to get in and waited as long as it took. It is said that Craig had to create a schedule for people to sit in for a maximum of 2 hours and then move so that others could get a chance. Stranger things started happening as well. People paid Craig to sit in his shop, even if they did not need a haircut. Women with braided hair and curly hair came in to sit at the shop and then leave after 2 hours. Craig could not understand all these things, but he knew that all the people in Luveve and surrounding areas knew his name and his shop. He was special, although he did not know why. He had tried to locate the gentle lady who had given him the keys, but it seemed she was asleep always by the time he closed shop. But he remembered her prayers for him, for blessings, destiny, greatness, and prosperity. The story of the barber shop was that it used to be a church. The minister in that church was a family man who had been brutally murdered during a church service by a demon-possessed person. The police had failed to investigate the matter because it was difficult to charge a demon-possessed person. Some believed that the ghost of the preacher was in the place, drawing people to come to church. Craig believed it was the powerful prayers of the gentle lady which had led him to find his destiny as a barber. The end.